Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kristen from RunFitMama at runfitmama.net, and I'm here today because I asked a lot of people on my Instagram, which you can find me at RunFitMama, and I asked a lot of people, what do you want to see on my channel next? And surprisingly, I think when people are so used to talking about macros and talking about nutrition, we forget the basics, and that a lot of times people don't understand what those terms mean. So I actually had a couple people say, can you please explain what a macro is? I hear you say that all the time and I'm a little bit confused. So forgive me if I've been throwing out these words and not really explaining myself from the basic term, I guess I should say. It's never my intention to confuse anyone, so I just kind of wanted to create a smaller video and just kind of explain to you what that means. So you have macronutrients and you have micronutrients. The macronutrients are three major food groups put into those macronutrients. So it's fat, carbohydrates, and protein. What you need to understand is that protein and carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. So if you have 20 grams of protein in, let's say, like a protein shake, that's going to come out to be 80 calories for just that protein. So both carbohydrates and protein have 4 calories per gram. On the other hand, fat has 9 calories per gram. So if you have, a tablespoon of peanut butter, it's probably going to be a lot more caloric than, a bite or two of chicken. And so a lot of times people get confused on why you would lose weight if you take out something. So think Atkins, or let's talk about in the 90s when everyone went low fat. I know when I was young, I remember SnackWells. I remember everything was low fat cheese, low fat yogurt. Everything was in terms of like lower fat. Well, the problem with that is when you take out fat and you have to add in something else to make it taste good. So a lot of times it upped the sugar. And so if you'll notice, like, for example, sorry Yoplait, but if you get a Yoplait non-fat yogurt, if you look at the label, guys, it sometimes has like 20-25 grams of sugar. You need to think about that, just so you know. Every 4 or 5 grams of sugar is about a teaspoon. So I want you to imagine 5 teaspoons in that tiny little yogurt container. So when you take out the fat, you're taking out flavor, and also you're taking out a nutrient that makes you feel full, that makes you feel full and for a very long time. So when they took out all the fat, they added in a ton of sodium. Think about like Progresso soup, that's low fat chicken noodle, tons and tons of sodium because there's nothing in it to give it any flavor. So tons of sodium, tons of added sugar. And the thing is, the reason why people lost so much weight going low fat, it's not because fat makes you fat. It's because fat has 9 calories per gram, like I stated before. And when you take out, let's say you have a meal of chicken, asparagus, a little scoop of rice, and then you have a ton of cheese on top, okay? Let's say you made like a bowl, and all of a sudden you took out all that cheese. So let's say you took out 200 calories worth of cheese off of your plate, and now you're in a low-fat meal. You just have your chicken, your rice, and your veggies. It is less calories for that whole meal. So now you're taking out 100 or 200 calories per meal throughout the day. All of a sudden you're in this 500-600 calorie deficit and you're not doing anything different. But guess what? When you're in a 500 calorie deficit every single day, when you get to the end of that week, that's 3,500 calories, which means that's essentially a pound. So people are dropping weight left and right. Because let's just say like the average person doesn't track their calories, has no idea what they're putting in their body, but all of a sudden they're swapping chicken breast for steak or for ground beef that has a lot more fat and in return has a lot more calories. So without really realizing it, people were eating less calories and not doing anything to lose weight. So all of a sudden it was fat makes you fat. So, and then that kind of happened again in like the early 2000s with Atkins. So again, you have that meal and you have your chicken, you have your rice, and you have your broccoli. And let's say you take out the rice, all of a sudden you're just having vegetables and protein. you're taking away calories. So then all of a sudden, without doing anything, the carbs became the devil. And I will give you one thing. So every gram of carbohydrate holds on to 4 grams of water. So if all of a sudden your carbs go from 200 grams a day to maybe 50 or 80, you're losing a lot of water in your cells, so they're shrinking. So a lot of people think that they're dropping fat, but I'm telling you, it's impossible to drop fat in a week or even a month. It's a very slow and steady process to lower fat. So again, that was just my little spiel because I wanted to explain to you the difference in the caloric value per gram when it comes to those 3 macronutrients. And the 4th macronutrient that no one really likes to address is alcohol. So like I said, protein and carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. Fat has 9. I'm going to do this because it's kind of on the other side. Fat has 9. Alcohol has 7. It does add up. And when I coach my clients, I like to tell them that if you are going to have a drink, you are absolutely allowed. I mean, you have to live your life. Let's say you're going to go out to dinner. Why don't you have a salad with some healthy protein on top, maybe some avocado on there to help keep you full, and then have your glass of wine? I would trade it for either fat or carbohydrates in that meal. So if you're at home and you decide, I want to have some quinoa, some fish, and some asparagus, okay, that's fine. But you also need to take into account that your glass of wine is either going to be 30 carbs or 15 grams of fat. So out of your daily total, that's kind of how I would place it. I'm not gonna tell you to get crazy about it and to be super analytical, but when you're doing that, keep in mind that alcohol does have a place and it is a little bit higher than protein and carbs. When you're drinking and you're eating at the same time, your body will always recognize the toxin before the food. So when you're eating, your body's gonna start to metabolize that toxin through the liver, which is the alcohol through the liver, and then it's gonna get to the food hours later once it's done metabolizing the alcohol. So you do need to remember that when you drink and when you get those Taco Bell munchies, because I have been there, your body, if you've been drinking all night, your body probably hasn't even reached your burrito supreme. So you just might want to recognize that. So like I said before, macros, it's protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Underneath carbohydrates, you're always going to see the sugar and you're going to see the fiber. Fiber does make up carbohydrates. That's why I personally eat carbs, because I like to be regular and feel my best. So when you're eating asparagus, a lot of that carb is coming from fiber. It's a plant. It has all of those nutrients inside of it. When you're talking about micronutrients, that's just vitamins and minerals. So micros are just as important as macros. When you're logging on MyFitnessPal, you can always scroll down below to check out your calcium, your sodium, vitamin A, vitamin C, all the good stuff. I would definitely make sure that you are structuring your meals to get in your micros as well. So when you make all of your meals, make sure you have the appropriate amount of protein, fat, and carbs, and then think, oh, what can I do to like throw in some micros in there? Throw in some spinach or some kale, butternut squash, my personal favorite. So those are just as important. They do not have any sort of caloric weight in terms of like vitamin B it's not 5 calories, it's just vitamins. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that I answered some of your questions with that. I know that was very confusing for a lot of people on, I think we get into this is bad, that is bad, but you have to think there are only 3 macronutrients. It is not healthy to tell yourself or to tell other people to take out a whole macronutrient unless advised by your doctor. There are absolutely some people who cannot have carbs or need a lower fat diet because of gallstones or whatever. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but I'm just saying for a normal, healthy person who's active and healthy and wants to feel great, you need a good, healthy balance of all 3. You need protein, you need carbohydrates, your brain runs on glucose, and you need fat because also your brain is made up of mostly fat. So everything from a cellular level and above needs all 3 of those things: fat, carbohydrates, and protein. They are all wonderful in their own unique way, and they all have a place in your diet. I hope that was helpful. Again, thank you for subscribing. Don't forget to hit the bell, comment down below. Let me know if you have any other questions, and you can find me on my blog at runfitmama.net. Have a great day. Bye.